Okay, good afternoon, guys. Thank you for being here. I guess I'll just kind of start off by just saying, hey, it's a great day to be alive, and we're off to a great start the school year. We've had one full week of workouts, into our second week of workouts already. I'm excited about this team. I like the group. Our staff's done a great job of putting together. You guys saw a little earlier here. You got here a little early, and so Dylan DeSue is moving around a little bit, which is big news for us. He's come a long ways. He had a foot issue this past in the last season, and we're bringing him along really slow. We're not gonna rush and put him out there when he's not fully healthy and ready to go yet. But our training staff's doing a great job. We don't have a timetable on when he's going to be available just yet, but we're playing the long game with him moving forward for his future. Caden Cedric is also a young man right now that we expect to be a major contributor for us this year. He's not practicing with us right now as well. He is working through both shoulders, getting some things cleaned up from last season. We were able to do that over the course of this past summer. Again, we don't have a timetable for him as well, and again, playing the long game with both of those guys' future moving forward. With that being said, we've got a great training staff. They'll do a great job of getting those guys back in the right time when they're ready and fully healthy to help our team. Aside from that, we've got everybody else available, everybody else practicing, and getting after it right now, and trying to build a really good team moving forward.
Of the guys practicing, Rodney, how closely do you think that those guys follow like the guidelines that you set from in terms of things to work on this offseason? How successful did you think that most of the guys did that and followed those programs?
Well, great question, Jonathan. I think anytime you're able to have continuity in your program, we've got 3 starters back from last year, 4th guy who played a significant role on our team last year in Brock Cunningham. We built this culture here over the last couple of years. We have 4 guys that have come back and had a chance to defend that culture this summer, as well as expand their games and try to get better in some of the areas they needed to improve and get better with. So I think each of our guys have improved over the course of the summer. I mean, Brock last year showed that he could really stretch the floor in terms of shooting the basketball. He's taking that to another level in terms of being able to be an offensive-minded guy. Dylan Mitchell's going to be a guy this year that's going to be a versatile player that can play between the 4 and the 3/4 at times as well. Tyrese Hunter got some great feedback in terms of going out there and being in the draft and what he continued to need to work on. And I think again you'll see a guy that will be healthy from the start of the year and have a chance to be a major contributor for us this year as well. When Tyrese is playing great, it takes our whole program to another level in terms of not just from an offensive standpoint but from a defensive standpoint as well. And really try to challenge him to be try to be on the All Big 12 defensive team. Double D coming back, if he's back healthy and doing, we want him to be able to shoot a lot more threes this year. He can stretch the floor. We know what he was doing in the mid post and all that kind of stuff toward the end of last year. But each of those older guys have each had a chance to work on their games. We got a lot of good newcomers that are going to be really good for us this year. Max Acemus is going to be a really good player for us. I mean, he's a kid that's won his entire career. Max, is a great leader off the court, he's a great leader on the court, and it's going to do a lot of great things for us. But I can talk more about all the other individual players and everything as well, but I'm happy with all our newcomers. I think they'll all be guys that will contribute for us this year, along with our returning players.
And there's no off season. When that portal opened, some guys are signing here and there, and it took y'all a little while. How do you kind of balance that sense of urgency with staying patient?
Yeah, I think Thomas, just like anything, we always talk to our team about never getting too high, never getting too low. When the season ends, a lot of coaches are going to sit down and we're going to meet individually with our players and talk about some of the things they did really well, some things they could continue to improve with, and then talk about if this is the right fit for them and if they still want to continue to be in your program. But, the landscape of college athletics is year to year. You're going to have to put a roster together, and to your point, it's a lot longer now. It goes all the way through August in terms of really kind of having your roster finalized. And even some universities still have scholarships available to this point right now and stuff. So it's become a lot more challenging in that regards. But again, it's kind of the landscape of college athletics right now.
Were you ever nervous at any point? Like, you had some recruits turn pro. And
Yeah, I mean, I can sit here and say that I'll try to act, really arrogant, but I'm really not arrogant, in regards to at Texas.
Yeah.
This is my 12th year here. We've never not had good players or been able to get good players at Texas. We've always gotten good players when I've been at Texas. You know what I mean? So, there was never a time to panic. The one thing I will tell you, in years past, and we always had to do a lot of times when we had long runs in the NCAA tournament. You have an opportunity to go out and sell something to a young man in terms of an opportunity. Anytime we've been able to sell an opportunity to a youngster or have that type of opportunity, we've been able to get really good players. Okay, so again, there was never really a panic mode. I've got a great staff that's very experienced in terms of recruiting and trying to find the best fits for our culture and for our program.
And then, Coach, you made the announcement yesterday with St. Edward's your old stomping ground. How did that come about, and why did you want to put it on the schedule?
Well, I think every year you want to be able to play we play a closed scrimmage, which is a highly contested contest for us. One that I think challenges your team early in the year to when you come back to practice. Some of the things you're talking about, they've already had a chance to experience this because they've played an elite level team. So we will continue to do that. We'll have an elite level opponent that will play in a closed scrimmage already prior to us playing an exhibition game. But I also think it's great to be able to come in and have a dress rehearsal game in your building. So we get a chance to have an exhibition game, and we've been talking for a number of years to try to continue to have great goodwill in our community and play some of our local universities. And the opportunity lined up for us this year where they were needing a game and we were needing a game as well. And Coach Cook's done a great job over there building the program, and we like to think it's going to be a really good competitive game for us.
And does it mean something more to you?
Well, I mean, anytime you're able to give back, I'm always, a believer in being a giver, and also someone that takes pride in where you were and where you've come from. I always think that, being given that opportunity, I think it brings exposure to St. Edward's program, and again, also for us in terms of goodwill in this community. We're a big believer in, Austin, taking care of Austin too.
When does practice start for you?
I believe we start officially, I want to say September 25th, I think it is. Is that correct?
So
right?
Those first 2 or 3 weeks, what are you going to be looking for?
Well, we've already been doing that already, Thomas. No, we this time of year you have a lot of things to work on, and again, as a coach, you can leave practice one day and you're like, man, you know what, we've got so far to go in terms of what we have to do. But that's early in the year. That's what it's supposed to look like. I mean, we come out here some days, we throw the ball around all around this building. There are days that we don't come in and don't do a great job with transition defense, but it's going to take some time, just like it does every season. I think early in the season, we said this to our guys earlier today, it's really big in terms of really trying to establish an identity individually. Who are you going to be every day? What am I going to get from you every day? I know every day, Kendall comes in and you're going to be an elite level defender. I'm going to get that every single day. As a team, are we going to be a team that pushes the ball in transition every day, every possession? So I think it's really big about identity and really trying to hone in on some things in terms of what you're trying to hang your hat on, especially early in the year. But I can go down a number of different things that I think we need to improve and get better with. But that's what this time of year is all about.
Hey, Coach. So I'm curious about maybe the role for Dylan Mitchell this year, as he sort of has a bit of a wing abilities, but he also has sort of power forward abilities. What kind of role do you think he'll play? Will he play more at the 3 or 4, or are you going to hide that from us?
No, there's no hiding. I want Dylan Mitchell to be a player. You know what I mean? So, anytime he's on the floor for us, I don't want to get him caught up in positions. It's not about positions. When he gets a chance to play at the next level, it's not going to be about positions. It's going to be a player on the floor. So if you're on the floor, you be a player. You know what I mean? And so that's what the challenge is for him. It's a simple blueprint. Hey, be a guy that plays with an elite motor defensively. Get out there and guard extremely hard. Show guys you can switch off 1 through 5. And be a guy that plays with the elite level motor. Rebound the basketball at a high clip. Run the floor. All the little intangible things. You don't have to get out here and show people you can shoot threes from way out here. That's not going to get you, getting you paid as a motor, versatile player. You know what I mean? He's a hybrid forward, can play all over the floor. And that's the thing we've challenged him with, So, don't get caught up in all the, the rat parts and that I got to come out here and shoot threes from out here and show everybody I'm a shooter. It's not about that. He could be a top 10 pick if he just does what I just told you.
You kind of spoke on Dessou and him extending his range out this year. Is there anybody else you're kind of seeing maybe changing the roles a little bit or trying to adapt to the new team and what they need out of each other?
Well, I mean, the thing I've really tried to challenge Tyrese with this year is come back and be a much more vocal leader. I mean, he's in his 3rd year competing at this level, and he's had a chance to go and get the feedback from the professional level. I think he should be a guy that wants to try to lead the country in assists. T.J. Ford was a guy that we got a chance to coach here, and T.J.'s whole mission, his last year was trying to, I want to lead the country in assists. And I want to be a guy that is potentially on the all Big 12 defensive team. If he does that, he gives himself a chance to have aspirations of playing at the level he wants to play, and his team gets a chance to win a lot of games.
Well, that's your big man, the kid from Virginia, the UTEP kid specifically. What are they going to bring? Like, what would fans see when they're playing?
Yeah, I mean, this year I think we have more depth, quality depth at our forward positions. Caden Cedric is an elite level rim protector. I mean, he's an agile guy that can run the floor like a deer. He has a pretty good skill set as well. When you talk about Z from UTEP, Zarek is a kid who gives us a lot of Christian Bishop. He should be a guy that comes in there, gives us some physicality, plays with a great motor, energy, run the floor, can finish around the rim. Brings that kind of energy, I think, when he's on the floor. And then you talk about Brock Cunningham, what he brings to the table in terms of winning plays. From an offensive standpoint, should be able to shoot the ball for us and be a guy that can score the ball for us well. Defensively, communication at a very high level, one of our most vocal guys that we'll have out on the floor communicating for us. And who did I leave out? Dylan Dessou. We talked about what we want him to do. Be able to stretch the floor for us more, be able to shoot threes. We know he can score 15 feet. And continue to be a guy that rebounds the ball well, outside his area. Really puts a lot of pressure on the basket for us.
Speaking of adapting roles, Coach, for a guy like Max, who, big-time scorer, how have you has this been an easing in period for him to spread the ball around more, play within the team? How's that going for him?
Well, when we recruited Max, we want the same version of Max that Oral Roberts. I mean, he doesn't have to be that volume guy, to where he's the main focal point all the time, but we want Max to be Max. Max comes across and Max has an open look, then Max don't get a chance to shoot that ball. But I think this for Max. It's not about points anymore. He scored 2,500 points in his career. He scored over 420. He's made over 423s in his career. So it's not about points. It's about playing on this stage, playing at Texas, and trying to win a Big 12 championship this year and an international championship. And I think for him there'll be times where he'll be a guy that plays really well without the ball. And he'll be a guy at times that plays really well with the ball. He's a really good passer as well.
I wanted to touch on Max as well, just in the sense of you've heard about his shooting capabilities, you've seen the tape, but now that he's in the building with you, how great is his shooting? I've just seen with your eyes.
Well, he's a guy on any given night, could be a guy that explodes and make 8 threes in a game, 9 threes in a game, But even more so, I just alluded to it. He's a really good passer. He has really good basketball feel, basketball savvy, IQ. Max is the whole package. You know, when you talk about bringing a young man in your program, he is an elite ambassador off the court, and he's an elite ambassador on the court. He's the whole deal. Only downside with Max is we only have him for 1 year. That's it. I say that all the time. I wish I had that guy for 2 years, 3 years, but he is the ultimate pro. He's going to be a fantastic player to watch play this year, and he's all about winning.
What does a true freshman have to do to get on the court with a veteran team like this?
Well, we saw it last year a little bit with Ontario, you know, and a lot of our older players did a great job with him a year ago. No different than with Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson is just as talented as Ontario Morris. He's a player that can play with the ball. He can play without the ball. He's a big guard, you know, and he's a good player. And one thing that really stood out from him early on is that for a young player, he communicates very well with the older guys. And I think as a result of that, he'll find his way on the floor and be a contributor for us this year at a high level. When you talk about Kendall Weaver, you know, again, I mean, this guy today is Tasmanian Devil on defense. I mean, you know, he's going to give himself a chance because how hard he plays on that end of the floor. He's a capable guy that can score the ball as well. He can get downhill. He can make threes. And just a good young player that's going to have a chance to grow all season long.
You know, Thomas had mentioned it earlier too, you know, how long, you know, the season, the off season goes, and you know, college basketball coaches have always had to work almost all year round anyway, but no more than now. How do you know, get away when it's time to get away and relax? Is it difficult for you to do that? Or?
Well, I mean, you know, it's definitely changed for sure. I mean, there were times, you know, where you had your team set by the end of May, you know, and you know, 5 years ago. But now, you know, with the landscape and everything, you know, you go from one season to trying to put another roster together. You have to put a whole new roster together in terms of guys that complement one another, you know, and it's like putting a puzzle together. You gotta find the right fit, you know, in terms of the guys you bring in your program. But it's definitely been more time consuming. And, you know, you come back and you want to still have 8 weeks with your guys to work out and get your team acclimated to the way you want to play. And the one thing you're fighting with the 1 year roster, which we'll be embracing every year, is time. You're trying to make as much time up as you can. You're trying to get guys in the summer to spend as much time with one another to get to know each other, off the court, on the court, building some chemistry. You know, so anytime you have some continuity and bringing guys back, it's a big deal. You know, same thing with staff. I mean, your team is not going to have great chemistry on the floor if your staff doesn't have great chemistry. I was able to bring aboard some really good staff members and guys that have excelled at this level that have been really good for us in bringing in some good guys. But to answer your question, I mean, you got maybe at best an 8 to 10 day window in the summer, and that's about it now. That's about it. But that's okay. You know what? It's what you signed up for, you know, and you do it with a smile on your face. And I mean, it's a great life. I mean, you know, you're living the dream. I mean, you know, you feel like if you have a passion for something you do, you're never really working. You know what I mean? And that's the way I feel every day.
And this final season of Big 12, what, 16 teams?
14.
14?
14 teams.
What's your thoughts on the league this year, and what's your thoughts on this is one last run for UT through the Big 12? And
Well,
you called the toughest
Yeah,
conference in basketball.
yeah. No, again, last year we had arguably the best conference in the country last year. I don't look for that to change. We've got great coaches in our league, great players in our league. We're playing great venues. We're adding 4 new institutions. You talk about Cincinnati. You know, West is coming in with the basketball tradition school. Kevin Sampson, Coach Sampson, what he's done, the respect we have for him, and what he's been able to build or revitalize at the University of Houston in terms of Final Fours and Elite Eights and things of that nature. There, he's really taken the program to another level. So, you know, Houston's coming in as a national contender. Johnny Dawkins has done a great job at Central Florida and has an incredible pedigree. And anytime you got to play BYU, we've got to go up to BYU this year. Extremely difficult and hostile place to play. Coach Pope's done a great job with the program there. So you talk about 4 programs coming in with really great coaches and really high-level talent, along with what we already have in our league. I mean, again, I look for there's no drop-off in our league. There's going to be no nights off in our league in terms of who you're playing, whether you're at home or on the road. You got to bring your A game.
You spoke to being, pretty proactive about improving the roster. Always, in the transfer portal, you're very active. For Ethel Horton, who was kind of a later guy in the signing, how did that play out? Did you have an inkling he was going to be out of UCF, and once he did, enter his name?
No idea that he was going to be leaving or available. But as you're putting together a team, again, just like that puzzle, you're trying to find guys that complement one another. Max and Tyrese playing together, I think, has a chance to be a dynamic backcourt together. One guy could play with the ball, the other guy could play without the ball. They could play great together at all times. One gets the rebound, the other one fills the lane. So you knew you had that dynamic there already. We knew we had Chris Johnson, as a young combo guard. You had Kendall and what Kendall brought to the table. We needed more shooting. We needed another guy that could put the ball in the basket and be able to do some things at an elite level from an offensive standpoint. He's been a guy over the course of his career that not only been a good shooter, he's been an elite shooter. And so we needed that. That was something that when we walk out, the first week or two of practice, we're like, we need more shooting. There's a guy that comes available. That's the perfect piece to complement what we already have. And IT he's an elite shooter. He can really shoot the basketball, but I think he's more than just a shooter. And we've seen that he can put the ball on the floor and he can get downhill. We've seen that he can be a guy that's also a guy that defends at a very high level defensively. He's got a really good frame where he can really sit down and guard as well. So he's been a great addition to our program. He's played over 100 games in college, and he's a guy, too, that can make 8, 9 threes in a game, and he's done it in his career already. So we're excited about him, and he's going to be a guy a lot of people are now talking about early on. I think that it's going to be really good for us.
Coach, throughout the summer, you've been bringing back guys, KD, of course, Tristan Thompson, like Jordan Hamilton, guys used to watch at UT, and even like a Marcus Carr. What do those couple moments do for this type of team, and seeing them at practice and knowing that like it is a family post-graduation?
No, absolutely, Corey. I mean, anytime you're able to bring back your former players, we always often talk a lot of times in recruiting about the lineage that we have with Texas basketball. Guys have obviously had a chance to go on and play at the next level, but also guys in corporate America that come back as well. And now they're great husbands, great fathers, and they come back and they mentor the guys we have currently in our program. DJ Augustine came back this summer and spent a week with our guys. You talk about a guy who was first-team All-American as a player, but he was also first-team All-Academic. Right, so I mean, you talk about an elite of the elite, Bob Cousy Award winner, coming back here, pouring into our current players, and giving those guys nuggets both on and off the court. Clint Chapman, I hadn't seen Clint back here in a while. Jacobin Brown led the Big 12 in scoring. Came back here, was also here a week with our players, and shared with our guys. The level of play and how you have to be an everyday guy. They hear from us all the time and being an everyday guy, playing abroad for the number of years that he has. And they saw the type of player. He got out here and played with the guys, and two, also did a great job mentoring the guys while he was here as well. Talk about a guy that hadn't been back here since he's finished playing. But to have those guys all coming back and being a part of what we're doing, invested with what we're doing, is huge for our program. Royal Ivy has just, coached a team right now that's going to have a chance to compete at the Olympics right now. He's going to be assistant coach with the Rockets. He was in town for a weekend. Unfortunately for us, we were out recruiting, so I missed him that weekend. But he was coming back and wanted to give back and wanted to see our guys and be a part of what we're doing. But every guy that's really put on this burnt orange and has paid the price to sweat, and all the things it takes in being a player at the University of Texas, they're vested with what we're doing. We came back here and we were on a mission for uniting the family. You know, we want to unite all of our players that have played here and really feel like they're a part of what we're doing.